Hey there, Stackers. Welcome to a live recording of the Stacky Benjamin Show. I'm Joe Saul-Sehy, and look at these people. There's the OG shotgunning. Oh my goodness.
You didn't get the message?
By the way, are you getting the storm? Because
we got
it's like nighttime here.
Yeah, it is still presently raining. So it started storming while we were recording the end of the first episode today. And it's still presently raining. So that's how long you have, however long.
Oh my God. It just began here. Just began.
Yeah,
so
we didn't get
all
any
right.
bad weather though.
Welcome to the Weather Report live. If you'd like to comment, say hi, please join the chat. We're going to have an interesting conversation. These guys don't even know the entire conversation we're about to have, but it's going to be a good time. So, Doug, you ready to go? Let's make a podcast, man.
Unique New York.
The Human Torch was denied a bank loan.
What's happening?
You're starting at some point.
Okay. Well, I thought maybe Jesse was going to do the intro. Okay. 3, 2, 1. Live from the basement of the YouTube headquarters, it's the Stacking Benjamin Show. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug, and does making more money actually make you happier, or does shoveling away cash excite you? We'll talk through this and other big either-or questions on today's show. But that's not all. Either one of these brilliant minds will win my trivia today, or the show will never end, which is better. And now, a guy who never ends when you ask about his favorite board games. It's Joe Saul-Sehy.
Oh, Doug, you know you love it. He knows he loves it.
I love it because I have trouble falling asleep at night, and then you're like a magic pill.
Welcome back to the Stacky Benjamin Show, where we've got some crankiness in the basement today. But, man, we're going to have fun during the next hour. And you know why? That's because OG's here with us. How are you, man?
Just for clarification purposes, I've seen the Bud Light commercial with Posty and Shane Gillis, and they're like, "Yeah, you can't drink on TV since it's not an actual beer commercial. This is allowed, right?"
You gonna show the brand and everything? Perfect.
Today's show is sponsored by.
Maybe if you were drinking an actual beer, the FCC might care.
Instead of water, right?
It does its work, man. 4.2%.
Just goes right through you. Yeah. And a guy who, I don't know, are you shotgunning a beer, Jesse Cramer from Personal Finance for Long-Term Investors podcast?
The cool kids are doing it.
I am not shotgunning, but drinking quickly a raspberry lime polar seltzer.
Oh, look at that.
Delicious, 0 calorie. And I'm training for something this summer, so I'm trying to, work out a little more, eat a little healthier, keep the liquid calories to a minimum as best I can.
This is 90 calories.
You're also in the financial planning office right now, I think. So here's what: just grab a Mick Light, head out to the lobby where the clients come in, and just
be the greeter
when they
welcome.
When they come into the office, say, "Have you been watching CNBC today?" and hand them one, like, right as they come in the door. That would be
You're
awesome.
You're going to need a couple of these.
Yes. And the woman, I don't know, man. She's had quite a week. Is she drinking yet? Paula Pant from Afford Anything's here.
I am here, and I am drinking tap water. New York
vodka.
City tap water.
It's actually vodka, but you can't tell on a YouTube live.
It's actually liquid LSD.
You have had not the best week though, Paula. You're about to have a vet bill that is not small.
Yeah. So far we've racked up maybe around 10,000 or so.
For what?
My cat was diagnosed with lymphoma, large cell lymphoma. And so it took a while to get to that diagnosis. She had to have a biopsy. She had to be hospitalized a few times. But she's meeting with an oncologist on Wednesday, And
That's where it goes sideways for me. Well, my cat's meeting with the oncologist.
yeah.
That's like, yeah, my cat's not meeting with the oncologist.
Yeah. No, I'm going to start her on chemotherapy pretty soon. So
that's just ugly. Well, sorry to hear that. We're going to take your mind off it for an hour though, Paula, because we're going to ask you whether it's better to make more money or save money. Which one makes you happier? Sam Dogan, who was our special guest on Monday, wrote this piece where he posits the idea that he thinks it's better to save more money than make more money. Like saving gives you more joy. We're going to find out here in just a second what each of you think. But before we get there, we've got a couple sponsors that make sure that all of this either or goodness is free. You don't have to pay for any of it. So we're going to hear from them. And then OG, Jesse, Paula, Doug, and I talking either or in a bunch of different financial planning concepts. So let's go. All right, 3, 2, 1. As I mentioned before the break, today's piece comes to us from Sam Dogan at financialsamurai.com. He begins this piece by saying, we've discussed the curiosity of financial hoarding as well as one way in which to eradicate the disease by revealing our desires for public shaming. If we feel ashamed, we simply don't spend as much money. Some folks found it a little strange that I find delight in getting judged for having spending desires. After all, we should keep our thoughts pure in order to reach salvation. I love the way Sam writes. It's very funny. The truth of the matter is my love for saving money almost always trumps whatever negativity or difficulty I've got to endure to save more. The pain of working 14-hour days in my 20s was no match for the joy of having more saving in the bank. All right, Paula. So here's our first either or of the day. Either you can joyfully make more money, have more money coming in the front door, or you can joyfully have more money that you're socking away into your bank account. Which one of those two things gives you more joy?
I mean, I disagree with the premise of, it's a false dichotomy, but if I'm rolling with the hypothetical.
Oh, but let's play. We're going to play.
Rolling with the hypothetical, 1,000% more money coming through the front door. That not even a question, hands down.
Does not give, that gives you more joy than feeling the money go into your bank account going, you know what? I'm the squirrel putting this money away.
Yeah. Cause it gives me the confidence to know that I have the ability to earn.
I don't know. Jesse, do you agree with that?
I guess I just think about the numbers. I would rather be saving more. Again, it's like Paul, of course, is right. The whole false dichotomy. Someone once called me that, by the way, and they said, you're a false dichotomy. I took it pretty harsh. I mean, it took me a week to recover. It took me a week to recover. But
Doug, we do have a new nickname now for Jesse when we introduce him at the beginning of the show. False dichotomy.
Yeah, I think Doug might make it a soft I instead of a long I. But
that was clever. I like that.
Thank you. But right, if given the hypothetical, I'd rather be saving more because in my mind that gets me closer to my goals, closer to my saving rates, closer to my FI number, however I want to think about it.
B hanging out with us on YouTube says socking away. So there's another one. What for just to be clear, we're not talking about numbers here. I'm just talking about which one gives you more joy. Which one gives you? So Paula, it gives you more joy knowing that you've got the engine that could, so you can make more money. And Jesse, gives you more joy to know that you're socking it away, putting it in the bank.
I've got the caboose that could. That's right.
That's Jess. OG, how about you, man? We got a 1-1 tie. Well, with also B in the YouTube hangout. Yeah. So I guess it's 2-1. You gotta.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with Paula on this one. At the end of the day, it's like the ability to earn income in this fantasy world of either and or, with no other strings attached of systems and process and all that other sort of stuff. I want to make a bunch of money. I think it was, I don't know, was it Warren Buffett or somebody said one time he wants to be the person that pays the most taxes because that means that he made the most money. Like I'm good with that. Like I'm happily the person who would pay the most taxes amongst everyone I know, because that means that I slayed it. So I'm good with that. And
It's not a competition, OG.
Everything has to be a competition.
Why does it always have to be that way with you?
It's what gets me going.
Doug, let's bring you into this because I've known you a long time, and I think I can predict that you're going to be team saving more gives you more joy.
But barely. It's a close race, but yes, I think you're right.
That's interesting, and I'm on the OG Paula team. Making more gives me more joy. All right. Let's do another one because I don't want to talk about that. I've got a whole list of these. And I want to find out which gives you more joy. All right. Everybody ready? Paula, number 2, always pay in cash, Dave Ramsey style, always use cash, or Joe Saul-Sehy style, always use a credit card. Which one gives you more joy?
Always use a credit card.
Always
Absolutely.
Credit card gives you more joy. How come?
Always credit card, because then you get rewards for the spending that you're already doing. So you get flights, you get miles, you get points, whether you want points or miles or cash back, which I don't recommend, but that's another option. Whichever way you prefer to get rewarded, you get that. So it's a bonus.
See, it's funny. The rewards don't factor into my joy. Mine is that it's trackable. And because of that, I found I actually do things with the money that give me more long-term joy. If I track it, if I don't, I blow it on stuff that gives me short-term joy, which not that great. Jesse, how about you?
I am definitely an always use credit card person.
Always credit card as well.
There's a few situations in life where the staff force you to pay in singles, but other than that, I am always a credit card person.
They take Venmo.
That is slowly changing, by the way, but you're right.
You're right. Sometimes there's a QR code tattoo right there, but
how do we have so many experts in this area? I don't know if that's
the other
creepy.
Day I was talking to Doug's mom about this very issue.
No, YouTubers, I'd love to hear
where
where you guys come down on this too. So don't leave us hanging. Go ahead and comment as well. Get in on this. OG, credit card or cash?
Credit card times 1,000. And mine has nothing to do with points or trackability.
That's funny.
But it's a safe out, because I was just thinking about this because we had a storm come through a month or two ago. And we have an arbor in our backyard, and it has a cover on it. So it like extends, the usability of it if it's raining, and helps block some sunlight. And the wind was so strong, it ripped off a portion of this arbor cover, and it's salvageable. Anyway, I have to build a new one if I want. I can't just even replace the one section. But it got me thinking about the time I did this when I built the thing to begin with. And I've talked about this on the show before, but the construction company who built it did a terrible job. And I worked with the company. I said, hey, this isn't good. Come back out. And they came out 3 or 4 times. Finally, the owner called and he says, I'm not coming out to your house again. It is how it is. And I said, okay. And I called American Express and I said, yeah, they didn't do the thing that they said they were going to do. And they went, no problem, sir. Gone. The whole cost of it was refunded by Amex. And they, Amex dealt with it. They're like, what did you do? How did you try to resolve this issue? And, it was a pretty pricey thing. I don't know, $4,000 or $5,000 of a charge. I can pay 3% transaction costs till the cows come home. And the ability to make problems go away if I can have another big company in my corner, so to speak. So yeah, credit cards times 1,000, and I take my reward points, Paula, in Amazon gift cards because I'm an idiot. But
story for a past show.
We can work on that.
We can work with that.
We can work on that.
We can upgrade that. Yes, absolutely. How many points do you get for what's the name of the specialist?
Oh, the oncologist.
How many reward points do you get from it? Don't get me wrong, there's nothing rewarding about that experience, but I gotta imagine, Paul, there's a lot of reward points.
Well, it's funny because when I came back, because I was in Panama the first time that she got hospitalized. And so when I came, and I was FaceTiming with the veterinarian, with her primary care vet from Panama. And so when I came back, I then had to pay the big bill. But of course, the veterinarians all knew that I was overseas. So they were actually joking with me when I paid. They were like, well, hey, this will give you the miles for your next trip. Yeah.
You're like, not a joking matter. Too soon. Too soon, Doc.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Not funny. All right. Doug, how about you? Credit or cash? You are on mute.
Always
Mute or not.
Right. Yeah, always credit. You guys taught me that. I think you did, Joe, a long time ago, because we were, this was probably back in the early 2010s. And it was, hey, we're going to use our debit card because we don't want to build up a debt. And you said, but that just means that's great. You're managing your spending so that you can pay only, spend what you can pay for in cash. But if you know you're going to pay it off, then just get the points. Why give up that amount of return? We get cash. I use a Costco card because we don't travel that much. Points on airlines and stuff just don't have as much value for me. I'm getting like $1,500 a year back for cash. They hand me a big wad of literally cash because it's too big for their gift cards or something. So I have to, they make me go to the manager's table and they're just like slapping hundies down on the table.
They're like, a whale's coming in, everybody.
Exactly.
They're the back corner. They move the velvet rope and you get to walk through.
Yeah.
And everybody.
And the guy's got money too.
Yeah. I was like
this guy?
customer of the month, 6 years running. And it's fantastic. And then when I do have to spend cash at those establishments, when Jesse and I go out together, then I've got plenty for that.
All right. Next one up, financial freedom at 50 or luxury lifestyle until you're 70. Financial freedom early or luxury lifestyle until you're 70 and then the luxury is gone. Jesse, what do you think, man?
I'm taking financial freedom at 50. There aren't too many things in my lifestyle that I feel I need to be luxurious on. So I'll just take financial freedom at 50 and live my solid lifestyle and be pretty content with that.
Paula?
Oh, can I ask a clarifying question? Are we talking early retirement at 50, or we just mean like optionality?
We're talking financial independence, retire early at 50.
So, okay, but we're talking it doesn't answer my question. So we're talking the FI part or the RE part?
We're talking the FI part. Let's talk the FI part.
Okay, yes. Just the FI part, FI by 50 for sure.
Okay, give up a little bit, but be financially independent. Yes.
Heck yeah.
OG, how about you?
I also have a clarifying question. So at 70, I'm completely out of money, or?
Yeah, at 70, you have to downshift big time because it's rice and beans from 70 on.
From 70 on. Okay, second qualifying question. What if all the lifestyle up to 50 is also super luxurious, therefore my FI number is monstrous at 50? Because then I pick 50. Like who's deciding what this fire thing is? Because I mean, honestly, it's all.
I think it's more the thing we talked about with Jonathan Clements and when Wes Moss was here, which was grind it out till 50 and then financial independence or party hard early. But this is party till 70. I mean, this is good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm taking the 50, but in the context of whatever I believe is fire at 50, then sure, obviously.
All right, Doug.
Well, I mean, luxury for me is a day's in. So I'm good with fire at 50. Absolutely. I'm living it right now. It's fantastic.
Well, and this is actually an interesting side discussion because as Cheryl and I were on a walk a couple days ago, and I'm like, there are things now that I think are really fun that I didn't even consider before. And I realized that fun, Jesse, it's almost about what you were talking about earlier, that there are things, you like the way you live now. I was thinking that when I was a kid, we went camping all the time, and it never occurred to me we went camping because we didn't have much money. We just love camping. Now I never go camping because I would rather sleep in a hotel. Yet if I had the opportunity, if somebody asked me to go camping, I'm not adverse to it. But now staying at a really nice hotel, which we could have never afforded when I was young, is now something that I will sometimes choose to do. You know what I'm talking about, Jesse?
Joe, are you familiar with the term glamping? Have you heard of this?
Yeah, it looks like so much fun, doesn't
I
it?
mean,
Paula's on board. Look at that.
This might be your solution right here. You know, you can get back to your childhood roots of spending time in the woods, but still get the pampered experience that
But with
your
the Western
soft
bed and a hot
underbelly is
tub.
now used to. You know, it could be the best of both worlds.
And you can go glamping in the middle of New York City.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, no, seriously. There's glamping in New York City
Is that what they call the unhoused now?
That is so wrong.
No, it's for people who also have apartments. It's either Roosevelt Island or Governor's Island. It's one of the two islands, but it's like the island in between Manhattan and Brooklyn, or Manhattan and Queens, so you get views of the skyline, and you're glamping in a tent.
Wow.
Yeah.
But I do think, though, that there are things that I just didn't consider. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know if I'd like those or not. I just don't consider it because I don't have the money, you know? And as life changes, you just, what turns you on kind of fits the bill. It occurred to me that, that a lot of what people love has to do a little bit with your wallet, you know, which I think goes back to whether you just show up happy or not. You know, it isn't always about the money. It's just whether I show up to my life happy on a daily basis. All these people that say I'm going to be happy when I could be happy camping, I could be happy on a high-end hotel, I could be happy where glamping in New York City, whatever it might be. All right, let's do one more before we get to the big competition in the middle of today's show. We were talking about credit cards. Let's do this one. Ignore your credit score or obsess over it. Which one high credit score make you feel way better, or does ignoring it make? This is not about numbers or facts, and about what makes you feel better. Doug, I think that you are a guy that appreciates having a very high credit score.
Yeah, but I'm not obsessing over it.
You would rather it makes you happier to ignore the credit score, or does it make you happier that you have a high credit score?
Well, no, I mean, so it links to the last question, because I know that I'm paying everything off. I'm debt free, and so I'm paying everything off every month. I know the score is high.
So ignore it. Ignore it makes you happier.
Yeah.
Why, Jesse, how about you?
Definitely in the ignore it camp. Definitely. Again, going back to the false dichotomy, but if these are my two choices, there's no way I'm going to obsess over my credit score. It's simply not consequential enough. I'd much rather ignore it if those are my two choices.
It's just the one that makes you happier. It is just the one that makes you happier ignoring it.
I don't know what my credit score is.
My credit score sucked for so long, as you guys all know, that I'm happier knowing that I have a high credit score now. I wake up every time I see my credit score. You know, you log into your credit card and they have the thing that shows your credit score just when you log in there as a service they do. That gives me a warm fuzzy now, knowing that I was able to turn that battleship around. OG, how about you?
Yeah, I'm in the credit score knowing game. Absolutely. It's just tied to too many things. Like it's tied to your insurance costs, is tied to interest rate costs on other products. And it's just, I know what it is.
Take care of the pennies and the dollars will take care of themselves, OG.
Yes. And I will throw a little shade to Doug about the I don't pay attention to it. I'm pretty sure that I've seen Doug text me pictures of his credit score from Citibank.
Well,
dude, 849. What's up? And I'm like, I mean, good job, buddy.
That damn East German judge didn't give me a perfect score.
No, I will exactly. That's a good one, Joe. No, I did do that, and it was because I was super annoyed. After we paid off the house, had everything, we were just totally paid off. Everything, cars, houses, everything was paid off, and it went down. That's when I'm like, I sent the picture and I'm like, WTF? How does this make sense?
It's all the way down to 825. What is happening?
Yeah.
Back to, by the way, whether you use credit cards or cash. B joined in, and I missed this earlier. B using credit cards or rewards also. So I think we were unanimous on credit card versus cash. And so all of us, anti-Dave Ramsey, apparently. Paula, we got 2 on one side of this, 2 on 2. Love the credit score. 2 love ignoring it. Which one makes you happier?
You know, I used to love knowing my credit score, and over time I have shifted towards ignoring it. So now I am in camp ignore it.
I think that's a healthier place to be.
Yeah.
Actually, but I think, man, I'm just so happy knowing that that's a nice number, and I can go get myself in debt trouble again anytime I want to. It's like a day-by-day lifestyle. I'm not doing that. All right, we're going to do some spicier ones in the second half. You think those are good? Which one makes you happy? Part 2 coming up in just a minute. But at the halfway point of every Stacking Benjamins Friday episode, we have this year-long competition between our 3 contributors. And Paula Pant, you have been gone for a few weeks.
I've been gone, yeah.
You ready for the score, Paula?
Ooh, yeah. Let's hear it. Let's hear it.
OG has 5. Jesse has 3.5. Paula Pant has 4.5.
What?
Everybody has won on your behalf since you've been gone.
Wow. I need to leave more often.
Yeah, Paula's about to say, let's have B play for me now.
Alyssa May has won Alyssa Mays has won on your behalf. Sandy Smith won on your behalf, and Doc G won on your behalf. Wow. So you've got to thank all 3 of those people.
It takes a village.
Paula's like, I got to leave more often. Panama calls again. But she's here this time. Can Paula actually be part of her own winning scenario?
Wow.
Can Jesse make it 4.5, 4.5, 5? Can OG pull back ahead again and start pulling away again as we get closer to the summer months? Well, we need a question, Doug. High tension today on the Stacking Benjamin Show. What are we talking about?
Hey there, Stackers. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug, and this flight is halfway through. But please return to your seats and stow your seat back trays because it's about to get a little bumpy. Here comes today's trivia question. When was the first in-flight meal served on an airplane? And before you say anything, Paula, the answer is not breakfast. We're looking for a year, not the time of day. I'll be back right after I go see if they've got more of those little Biscoff cookies in the back.
Hold on a second, because I'm going to play a clip. I think you guys know which one I'm going to play. We're going to put this one in here. Here it is. Did you hear that? Yeah, you guys know where this
clip.
Yeah, you guys know where this is going. Let me. Okay. 3, 2, 1. Yeah, and Doug, specifically to just quote the movie, this is not what we're looking for. This is a scene from Miss Congeniality.
Describe your perfect date.
It's a tough one. I'd have to say April 25th, because it's not too hot, not too cold. All you need is a light jacket.
We're not looking for that. We're not looking for breakfast. All right, OG, you got to go first still, barely.
This is BS.
First flight, in-flight meal.
Okay, so Wright brothers were what? 19 and I should know this. I feel like I should know it.
I think it's like 87.
1984.
Yeah.
1911, maybe something around there. 1914. Figure the airplane business took off pretty quick. I know commercial travel was commercial travel was super popular by like the 1940s. Obviously, lots of flying in World War II and One. I'm going to say slightly after Wilbur and Kitty Hawk. Grandpa was born in 1919. I'm saying Grandpa's birthday, 1919.
1919.
Grandpa was actually born 9/9/1919. But I'm not going to be that specific.
9/9. Wouldn't that be wild if it was 9/9/1919? Who's next? Paula, you're next.
That's weird. That is so weird. I'm used to, having to figure out how to place myself between two.
Now you actually have to think and come up with a number, not just game the other two answers.
Maybe I'll do better being in this.
I was going to say, Doug, it wasn't working anyway, Paula.
Right. So. All right. So I actually think that the Wright brothers' flight was in the 1920s sometime.
Maybe maybe I was way off.
They were from Dayton, Ohio, which is why Ohio is the birthplace of aviation. Kitty Hawk, obviously, North Carolina, first in flight. Yeah, I'm going to say that happened sometime in the 1920s, and I'm also going to say that commercial aviation. When was Pan Am really big? That was like, Pan Am and TWA, like that was like the 1950s, 1960s. I'm going to say all right, hold on. The 40s.
Joe, can I just tell her the answer so she'll stop?
We want you to win, Paula, but not at all costs.
I'm going to say it was after World War II. So I'm going to guess 1949.
49. It feels like we've made it to 2049 as long as it took you and OG to answer that question. Jesse, you're in this weird spot of going last, my friend. You got 1919 and 1949.
Yeah. I'm caught between two minds. I actually know Wright brothers flight. I think it was 1903, which is kind of crazy. So I'm going to take the under on OG, and I'm going to say September 8th, 1919.
AKA 1918, I think is what you're saying.
I don't know.
I'd rather he's not going to get specific about the
year only.
The day.
1918 then.
1918. All right, we got 1918, 1919, and Paul at 1949. We're going to see who's right. We'll be right back. All right. And then we got some comments from
1903 gives me pause.
December 17th.
December
17th, 1903.
It's aerospace engineering paying off.
If I would have known 1903, I'd have picked like 1909 or something, or 19.
Paul, after we answer this, Carlos wants to know why, and we'll just get to it. Wants to know why you don't recommend cashback cards, because you said that earlier.
Should I answer that now or?
No. We'll do it. I just wanted to let you know.
Cool.
So here we go. 3, 2, 1. All right. OG, you began this question by answering 1919. How you feeling now?
Yeah. I felt really good when I thought it was 1914 that the Wright brothers were, because I figured it was just a few years after it. But now that I have been so advised that it was 1903, I feel like I am way off. So,
but the question wasn't about that. It was
Paula
about
is way off. So I feel
it was about in-flight meals, and Paula, that could have been much
did the Wright
later.
Brothers bring a sandwich? Like, did they, were they pedaling and the plane was going? And then
can you see the two of them and their flight attendant? As they went, 38 feet?
Doug's going to hit us with something really silly, like
48
in
feet?
World War I, the first recorded, sandwich was eaten or something silly.
Paula, you feeling good? Regardless of what OG says.
I've got the whole upside. I mean, I feel good about capturing so much of the map.
And Jesse, that means also if it was 1728, you've got it because you took the under 1918. Feeling good?
Correct. There was a biplane in one of the Crusades. So if they ate on that plane, then I'm good.
True story. Maybe, probably not. All right. OG, Paula, Jesse, who's got this one right? Doug, you've got the answer, man. You are on mute.
Again.
There's a lot of things happening here in the background I need to protect our gentle listeners' ears from. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Hey there, stackers. I'm Cookie Lover and the guy who's just upgraded your personal finance experience to first class, Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug. In-flight meals. It's truly incredible how much we bitch about the food they give us on airplanes 25,000 feet above the ground in a tube, soaring like a bird while we're magically transported to other parts of the globe. But yeah, let's complain about a $13 sandwich. Can you people not be satisfied? Today's question: when was the first in-flight meal served on a commercial airplane ride? Many of you might have been thinking hot meal. That, like the Mile High Club, came much later. But a cold sandwich was served, not December 17th, 1903, when the Wright brothers first flew, but it was 30 years before Paula's guess of 1949 and 1 year after Jesse's guess.
Can you believe it?
0 years after the son of perdition, the prince of darkness, OG's guess, because the correct answer is 1919. Damn it.
Oh, so good.
Wow.
So.
Did you just pick 1918, Kramer, because you knew it was 1919, or did you just
No,
pick because
I just assumed if planes had been around for 16 years that someone would have eaten food on a plane before 1919.
I would have agreed with you. If I would have known 1903, I would have picked 1905.
Right.
We've got a nice group of people hanging out with us on YouTube as we make the show at our normal time, which is Wednesdays around 4 p.m. Eastern time. That would be 1 p.m. Pacific. If you want to join us in the future, Soph is here with us and just asked, what's the lowest credit score I need to afford to buy a jet? Talking about credit scores. OG, do you have any?
That is a cash purchase.
And Soph also says, I hate airplane food, which we got to that. Shane likes to ignore his credit score, and Andrea voted for financial freedom over luxury till age 70. B also likes financial freedom. Carlos wants to know, though, Paula, before we get back into it, why do you mentioned it kind of flippantly that you don't recommend cashback cards? Why don't you like cashback?
Because so if you think about the dollar value of the type of reward that you're getting, generally speaking, cashback will give you the lowest value of reward. So for example, if you get points, which you can then transfer to miles or to either to airline miles or to hotel stays, oftentimes when you actually make the conversion as to what is the monetary value of that point is worth at the bottom 2 cents. It could go, depending on how you redeem it, all the way up to 4 cents or 5 cents, versus if you get cash back, you might be getting, let's say, 1%, right? Or 1.5%. And so the value per dollar spent is lowest on cash back.
There we go. You guys ready for part 2?
We're like, and scene.
Here we go.
Drop the mic.
I know.
What do you say
I feel
after
like
that?
An idiot for my Amazon gift cards now. Thank
Well,
you.
I mean, if I were to say anything, I would just be reiterating what I already said, which is, Paula, the math works, but only if that has value for you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't travel, so even though I'm getting more, plus they can change the value.
Costco cash is a better percent, though, right? Isn't it?
Well,
Like,
they've got a whole
it's like a
tiered thing.
tiered
It's like
system. Yeah,
5% on gas and 4% on in-store purchases and restaurants and 2% on everything else.
You should do that. You should figure out what the payout is. Like, just look through your statements,
right,
and figure out how much.
But
it's probably greater than 1 if you're
It averages out to probably 3.5, somewhere in the middle of that, depending on the volume I have of each of those different types of purchases.
Yeah.
But Paula, we just talked about this on a show maybe a couple of weeks ago, Joe, a week and a half ago, where I think OG pointed out the value of those points is highly volatile. I made the joke it's like a South American currency because your room at the hotel might have cost 20,000 points last year, and this year it's 35.
Oh yeah, there's definitely point inflation, like absolutely. So
spend them.
Spend them. Yeah, spend them as soon as you get them.
I've started Cheryl and I took little
hold on, wait. I just mic dropped and nobody's recognizing that. I just dunked on Paula Pant and I'm getting nothing.
Cheryl and I took little stickers to do that on the other way to make sure we get the biggest point. We use the biggest point value card for that type of purchase. So, you know, because some are X times points on gasoline, others on groceries, others on flights, whatever. And so we put little stickers to remember which card is which. So when we're doing that transaction, we know to go to that card. All right, here, let's get a little spicy. You've got some money, Jesse Cramer, sitting in cash, but it's money that you don't need right now. Which one makes you happier? Invest it in crypto or leave it in cash?
Leave it in cash.
Leave it in cash makes you happier. How come?
I'm not sure if I want to put more money into crypto. That's probably the main reason why.
Because you already got 99% of your portfolio in crypto.
yeah, right. I know. Full disclosure, I do own a little bit, but I also and this is my admission. This is my confession. Was that an Usher song? I think this is my confession. This is my confession, which is I consistently flip flop between whether Charlie Munger was right and that crypto is rat poison, or that there's this amazing future to it. And it kind of scares me. So for that reason, I think that I don't necessarily need to take the bat off my shoulder and take extra swings at pitches that I'm not sure will end up being hits. So I'd rather leave that money in cash.
I think we just became best friends, Jesse.
Hey.
Wow. We've answered all the questions the same, and now he's using a at-bat analogy. I'm all worked up over here.
Well, this is Doug's confession. Doug's got a confession for you, Jesse.
Come on out of that closet, Doug.
Yeah, Paula, leave it in cash or invest it in crypto. Don't need it for anything.
Leave it in cash. Leave it in cash.
I thought you'd say crypto.
No, I'm team leave it in cash. Because if you leave it in cash, so I have a barbell allocation. I have cash and I have equities. I don't have bonds. And if you leave money in cash, that means that you have the ability to put more also on the other side of that barbell, put more money in equities. And if you do want to invest in crypto, there are equities that you can purchase that reflect the crypto market. So there's that one stock, I forget what the name of the stock is.
MicroStrategy?
MicroStrategy, yeah. Right? So MicroStrategy is often viewed as a analog sort of, totally. As an analog to crypto. So keep money in cash, and then if you want crypto quote unquote exposure, okay, buy a few shares of MicroStrategy.
Oh my goodness! Everybody online is cash, 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 cash. Soph actually says cash is going to the moon, like diamond hands with my cash. Oh, that's great. All right, OG, how about you, man? Crypto or cash?
Yeah, cash. I'm like Jesse. I've got some Bitcoin and Ethereum, and I think 65 million something that's worth like 0.000 cents, just in case it turns to $1. But I also share a similar sentiment that I can't exactly figure out what's going to happen. So I was talking with somebody the other day, and we were talking about it becoming currency. They're like, oh, what if it's currency? I said, well, then it will stop being volatile. You know, I mean, the dollar moves against euro, a little bit, right? It's like, oh my gosh, it's down 4%. That's crazy.
But not the way Bitcoin moves now.
Yeah, these 50% spikes. If all of a sudden setting aside for a second that it literally would take an act of Congress, but I don't see a scenario in our lifetime where the U.S. just willingly goes, yeah, everybody else can use Bitcoin. That's fine. Let's give up the dollar standard. That doesn't seem like a good strategy for our country. And then even if it did, if it, and I get the idea that it's infinitely divisible and whatever, but like then it's just like having a dollar bill. And then to me it would be like, oh, I'm going to Europe, I should bring some euros so I have some cash. Oh, I'm going to Argentina, I should bring some Bitcoin because that's what they use. You would use it interchangeably at that point. It ceases being, an investment and just becomes more of like an arbitrage opportunity. Or, you're going to buy a condo in Spain, you're probably going to pay for it in euros. It's just easier to do than trying to do it in dollars. So I don't know. Anyway, to answer your question, Cash.
Yeah, B hanging out online says crypto is tulip bulbs, and that's I love your point, OG, because I don't know. Part of me thinks it might be tulip bulbs, going back to the Dutch tulip thing, but part of me thinks, well, wouldn't it have been tulip bulbs already? And it hasn't been. Yeah. It's been how long? I was laughing at my brother-in-law back when crypto was worth, 1/100th of what it's worth now, and he's lapped me around the bank like 100 times. Well, I'm like, really? You're going to buy this stuff? Joke was on me. So who knows? I don't know. Yeah. Jesse,
I just have a funny story because this is a friend of mine, a reader of my blog, listener of my podcast. Have you guys heard of, this is real, Fart Coin? It's the newest meme coin. I'm dead serious. It's called Fart Coin.
Is it F or PH?
I think it's F. It's as stupid as it sounds. And he recently made like $5,000. This is a person I know, made like $5,000 on Fart Coin. And just so we're all on the same page, the only way that anyone makes money on something called Fart Coin is because other people are dumping money in and you're pulling your money out, right? There's no like intrinsic value being created there, like in a stock or in the economy. It really is just who's the last person holding the bag. And so I don't know, do Bitcoin
like
or
going back
to
posters or something or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Going back to the
NTFs or NFTs,
NFTs. Yeah.
Oh my God.
And so it's like, I don't know, do the other coins, does anything out there have an actual use case that's going to give it a value other than someone coming in later and paying more than you paid? I mean, that's the $1 trillion question. Also, what you were saying, Paula, MicroStrategy, I was just looking it up because I was curious myself. I knew they hold a lot of Bitcoin on their balance sheet. Like they are a pseudo like Bitcoin treasury.
Right.
And the company is valued at $100 billion. They have 33 billion of Bitcoin on their balance sheet right now. Just for anyone listening. It's pretty crazy.
I think we got to come up with some names around Fart Coin. Like when you're buying it, like, are you farting when you buy it? I got to fart, which means I'm going to buy more.
If you haven't heard of it, it's because it's silent but deadly.
I'm hanging on to some of those Haktua coins, Haktua person coins. Thinking that might come back.
I mean, the market cap of Fart Coin right now is 1.19 billion. What kind of world are we living in?
Fart Coin.
It was created in October of 2024, and here we are. There's $1 billion. People have put $1 billion into this thing. Unreal.
All right, let's do a couple more of these guys. This one, it's important to remember which one makes you happier. Does it make you happier investing in index funds or happier with individual stocks? Paula, which one makes you happier?
Honestly, okay, if the question is happier in terms of the dopamine spike, individual stocks, because I like the experience of being proven right. When it goes well, and when it doesn't, I tend to just kind of gloss over it and focus on the wins. So it's the opposite of negativity bias.
That's fabulous. OG, how about you? In individual stocks as well, or index funds?
No, ETFs. I spend so little time looking at my individual portfolio. I can't even. There's so little emotion. In fact, it's to the point now where I log in so infrequently that I remember whatever number I remember seeing before. And I go, oh, wow, look at that. Like, and it's contributions and, that sort of thing. And either I go, wow, look at that, 'cause it's great. Or I go, wow, look at that, 'cause it sucked. And I looked on April 8th, but I just have this kind of quasi memory of about how much money I had in that account. And I'll glance and I'll go, huh, who knew? Yeah. I don't get any hit off of portfolio value anymore. Sorry.
All right, Jesse.
This is a flex right there from OG.
No, it's not. It's, I mean, when you have $10 and it turns to 15, you're like, dude, This is awesome.
Fair enough. I'm with you though, OG. I'm index for this answer. And the main reason why is it's kind of the opposite of what Paula said. For me, if I were to own an individual stock, if I were to see like, oh, this index fund is up 12% this year, and this individual stock I thought would be really hot is actually down 20%, like that frustration would just gnaw at me. And so I'd rather not deal with it in the first place. And I'd be team.
I've made so many mistakes on individual stocks. I've made some great wins also, but I only, it's true. I don't know, Morgan Housel who had this in his book, you know, like losing feels twice as bad as winning feels good. And the pain of losing that, you know, when I go, yeah, this is so stupid. I should have just had this in a stupid ETF and been done with it.
It is so funny, guys, because I'm Team Paul on this one. Individual stocks make me way happier. Just when I look at them and I'm
emotional or whatever.
I'm emotionally invested. Not good. Let's not talk about it.
Yeah.
I remember the highs that you were having. You were so excited about it.
But it makes me happier owning it. I see it and I go, oh yeah, Lumen. Yeah, look at that.
Oh,
Doug.
Lumen.
Yeah, I learned this lesson shortly out of college. My brothers and I were at a trip on the other end of Lake Tahoe from where OG and I went skiing this past winter. We were in North Tahoe and we hit the casinos, and I'm the youngest brother. I'm watching my older brothers try to bet at the roulette table at like black 17. They're losing their shirts, and I'm young kid. I'm never have been a gambler, and I'm just betting red and black. And I walked away from that table with $400. And I think that's kind of analogous to, you know, mutual funds versus individual stocks. The difference is
exactly the same.
When you hit on a individual stock, your older brothers don't have to know about it and can't make you buy dinner that night.
Oh, no.
They spent all my money.
Oh, it wouldn't be a stacker party online if we weren't still stuck on the fart coin, guys. So Soph says fart coin sounds like a shitty investment. Adam calls it a layup comment. Andrea says hot air more likely.
Oh,
seems bloated to me.
Yeah.
Eric mentions never trust a fart. And then we get into Rocky's all about individual stocks. B likes ETFs. Andrea likes ETFs. And then Soph says that was Socrates before Morgan Housel that may have said that as well. All right. Last one of this one. Again, what makes you happier? We talked about this on Monday's show, but we didn't talk about happiness. We talked about order of operations. Max out your retirement or get those student loans paid off. You've got student loans, so you can't do both. Which one makes you happier? Jesse, which one makes you happier?
Max out retirement.
It does. Leave the student loans alone.
Yep. That would, again, just going back to my own history based on well, first off, I'm just totally clouded by this, right? Because I was trying to attempt both or trying to figure out which to prioritize in my own 20s. That's how I got involved in this whole personal finance content to begin with. But as I was maxing out my retirement starting in like 2013, 2014, it happened to coincide with one of the best bull markets in history. So I've got all these great happy feelings from maxing out my retirement and my loans were at like 4.5%, 5% on average. Right. And so knowing what we know now about the way the last 10 years have played out, like, of course, maxing out my retirement ended up being the better thing. But still, if I was given the same choice today, I would max out my retirement and feel happy about it.
You see these studies of millennials that came out of college or out of high school in 2007, 2008, who still have trouble investing, Jesse, because of the fact that they saw so many people struggle. Like you literally see that. You got this exact opposite messaging.
Yeah, it is crazy. I actually saw something, speaking of that, Joe, I saw something recently that talked about millennials' views of the stock market. And it is because, right. Each generation is a 15-year span, and millennials were born from I think 80 to 95 ish.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. So those born in 80, can I do my math right? Yeah. They would have been maybe in their 20s in the early 2000s and would have kind of like lived through that lost decade. There are a lot of older millennials. Yeah. A lot of older millennials do not like the stock market, have a lot of negative feelings.
Well, and also think about the real estate market. You're 27 years old. Maybe you'd finally cobble together enough money for your first down payment. Maybe. and you just did it, and then housing prices go through the floor.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Right.
yeah,
Right.
That's
Got
ugly.
that t-shirt.
Yeah. OG, which one makes you happier? Paying off the student loans or
100% investing versus any debt payoff? Yeah. I mean, it's fun to pay off debt. Like I paid off a pretty sizable loan this quarter and I was like, okay, that's cool. But nothing. There was no joy received. The joy comes from the fact that I now have that loan payment to invest with.
I was going to say, what about when you took that money that was going to the loan and you bought a new driver, 3-wood and 7-wood?
I mean, that provided a lot of joy.
Yes.
I'm a consumptionist.
Paula, we going to keep
just glorious yesterday. So, yeah.
Paula, we going to keep this unanimous?
No. So the question is, which one makes you happier rather than which one would you advise?
Yes,
or which one would you recommend?
Just which one's happier?
Yeah, because at a cognitive, intellectual level, I totally understand and agree with OG and Jesse. Like, it makes way more sense to max out your retirement. But at a purely emotional level, much, much more joy paying off debt. Absolutely.
That's funny. I love paying off debt too, but I got to say, investing makes me happier. Doug?
Yeah, I'm with Paula on this because here's the thing: if I had all that debt but was maxing out retirement, I would have to always do the math and subtract the debt, and then the cost of that debt, do the compound growth of that debt over time against my retirement, and I would never feel like I got there.
Nah. Just invest.
That's the way OG talks to all of his clients. Nah. All right. I think that's going to do it for today. I love this. This was super fun, guys. Not talking about what's smartest, but it's funny. What I think is a good lesson here is what makes us feel good isn't always the right choice. And so sometimes doing the right thing, not exactly what Doug's 12 years old.
No, I would say, so on that, Joe, I would say that quite often doing the thing that does feel the best is best for you, because in all likelihood, that's the thing you're going to stick with. If debt makes you uneasy and you're stressed about it, and that would provide a lot more, comfort for you in your life, then yeah, you should pay off the debt. No different than people who are my example on my house, right? Everybody's like, oh, 2.5% mortgage. You got that for 30 years, right? Nope. I've got it for 15 and I'm paying extra. But there's a method to my madness. And the math people are like, that's ridiculous. You should have got it for 30 and you should have a, tiny mortgage payment and pay it for 30 years. That's the math way to do it, but not for our plan. That's not what works for us. So I don't know that the right answer is always the right answer. The right answer is what's right for you.
Yeah, I think that's a great takeaway. And the stickiness factor, you can't deny. I love it when you know your own financial plan. It's also the reason I don't like using rules of thumb is for that reason. If it applies to you, it's going to be something that you actually follow through with. All right, let's follow through from this show to our brilliant contributors shows. Paula, what's going on at the Afford Anything podcast?
Ooh, on the Afford Anything podcast, of course, every other episode-ish, you and I answer questions, and you actually make a cameo on our first Friday episode. So
talking our favorite thing, Paula, tariffs,
and how to handle a volatile portfolio, which I don't know if anyone's noticed, but the stock market has been a little volatile lately. So on the first Friday of every month,
we've been happy though, and I don't know what it's going to be when people see this, but the volatility back up has been nice the past little bit of time. Who knows where it goes from here, but hopefully it continues in that trend.
Exactly. So, there's bull market, there's bear market. I heard somebody call it the kangaroo market because it's just bouncing.
I like that.
So the first Friday of every month, we do a monthly economic update. The BLS always puts out their jobs report data on the first Friday of the month. So we time it with the jobs report data and we talk about what's happening in the economy. And Joe just cameoed for the first time ever on a first Friday episode. So
I'm taking over.
Yeah.
Taking over Afford Anything. By the way, I heard that report's just a bunch of BLS. Paula.
But
come on. Jesse Cramer, what's going on at the Personal Finance for Long-Term Investors podcast?
Yeah, we let me think about this. We just released an AMA episode, our 7th one, and then in a couple weeks we got Don McDonald coming on the pod.
I think you're saying it wrong. You've got Don McDonald coming on. Don McDonald.
Don is stopping by the podcast. The best voice in radio and podcasting. And then for any classic rock fans, over at the Best Interest blog, just published a really fun article called Stocks Rock and Two Blasting Speakers about my somewhat unwell neighbor growing up who used to play classic rock music really, really, really loud at all hours of the night. And speaking of the kangaroo market, the interesting lesson we can learn about today's kangaroo market from my somewhat erratic and unwell neighbor. So if that's the kind of thing that sounds interesting to read, maybe a little crazy, that's over at the Best Interest blog.
All right. And OG, what do you got going on this fine weekend?
This is the calm before the storm.
It is for me too.
Starting on Monday, they all start trickling in. Big graduation, all the parents and in-laws and cousins and nephews and aunts and uncles, and it's just this slow, steady drip of everybody showing up over the next 3 or 4 days, culminating in our first high school graduate.
That's so exciting. What an exciting time having a graduate in the house.
Having an adult.
That's wild.
Man,
and
as he likes to be called.
Paula, we're thinking about you and the cat and your oncologist Porsche 911 payment.
Yeah, exactly. She has a feeding tube too. So
man.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know how to transition from
that. Well, speaking of feeding tubes,
let's feed it to Doug.
That was halfway decent, actually.
That was actually pretty good.
Speaking of, if I ever use speaking of feeding tubes as a transition, this show's got to end, right? I'm glad it was you and not me. Doug, what are our big takeaways today?
Well, first, consider listening to advice from someone who gave the wrong answer on saving versus earning. OG, why would you rather earn more than save?
Because making more money is awesome.
Still got it wrong. Second, Jesse gave the correct answer on cash or crypto. Jesse, tell us again while you're leaving the bat on your shoulder in that sexy voice of yours.
Yeah, I'd rather be stacking the Benjamins.
But the big lesson, definitely sit next to Joe's mom on your next flight, if possible. Flight attendants love this lady, and the whole row gets extra pretzels. That woman single-handedly killing United's profit margins, but everyone's all smiles about it. It's amazing. Thanks to Jesse Cramer for joining us today. You'll find Jesse's show, Personal Finance for Long-Term Investors, wherever you're listening to us now. We'll also include links in our show notes at stackingbenjamins.com. Thanks to Paula Pant for hanging out with us today. You'll find her fabulous podcast, Afford Anything, wherever you listen to finer podcasts. And finally, thanks to OG for joining us. Looking for good financial planning help? Head to stackingbenjamins.com/OG for his calendar.
Do you guys have time for a short after show or no?
Yeah.
I'm thinking 5 minutes. I want to make sure everybody's good. So, all right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Welcome to the after show. This is the part of the show that doesn't exist. We haven't done an after show on a Friday in a long time. But Robert played Stacker Robert sent me a comedy clip that you guys may have heard. I'm going to play just a little bit of this, and I'm going to ask if you've ever been in a similar situation, because, well, Robert thinks that sometimes the world of business is fun. This is comedian Jay Larson.
I have a question. Your cell phone rings and you don't recognize the number. What do you do? Ignore it. Ignore it. Don't answer it. Not me. I like life. The other day, my cell phone rang 917. That's a New York number. I didn't know who it was. I picked it up anyway. I hit talk. I said, hello. Guy in the line goes, hey, Bruce, what's going on? My name's Jay, not Bruce. So I said, nothing much, man. What's going on with you? And he said, I'll tell you what's going on. I just got an email about the budget. It's supposed to be $15,000. Now it's $10,000. And I'd like to know what's up. I got excited in my chest. I grabbed the steering wheel. I was like, okay, focus. Your name is Bruce. There's a budget. It was $15,000. Now it's $10,000. No one's happy about it. That's all we know. That's all we know. So I just repeated back to him what he said to me. And I go, 10,000 is supposed to be 15,000. He goes, yeah, I know. Well, I just got an email and now it's 10. I go, listen, man, I don't know what to tell you. I've been on the road all day. I haven't even seen it. And he goes, did you send this out? I give him some attitude to Bruce. I didn't like it. I said, listen, man, the budget was $15,000. We had a couple extra expenditures. It went up to $16,200. I reworked it, got it down to $14,700. I had $300 to play with, so I called it 15 and I sent it out. And he goes, yeah, well, now it's 10, man. And I was like, oh my God, that worked. That worked. Phase 1 complete.
Well, people can look up Jay Larson and can hear the rest of that because that goes on for a good 5 minutes. But I'm wondering if, and OG, that sounds totally like something you would do. Have any of you either played with a caller that had a case of wrong number before? Oh, geez, yes.
No.
The only one that I can think of was many, like 25 years. This is pre-cell phone. And for some reason, the person was, they were selling, it was from AT&T, and they were selling like international calling
minutes,
privileges, minutes, something. Yeah. And I was so bored. I just remember sitting in my bedroom talking to this guy going, well, sometimes I make calls to Egypt. And he's like, oh, well, our Egyptian rates, and he's like, and like he was putting together this package of Egyptian rates and Japanese rates. And, I got so many minutes to France and so like, or whatever the hell they were selling. And it went on for quite a while. I don't remember how long, maybe an hour. And then I was like, I don't know. I think I'm going to call MCI and see what they can do. Click. And I feel pretty bad about that because I wouldn't, being in professional sales in some way, shape, or form, that would really ruin my day. So hindsight, I would not advise that. But cell phones, kind of all bets are off. If you're going to call my cell phone and you type the number wrong,
if you're calling me,
yeah. What did you do, Doug?
I love this story. I'm so proud of myself because I'm pretty sure I got at least 2 people fired.
Wow. Okay.
And I was mad. I cost a sales guy an hour. Doug's like, I'm taking heads over here.
That's a good lead-in.
At probably at least one of them was at a Fortune 500, Fortune 50 company, and the other was at a little small company in my town. So when we bought our first house, get the phone line established. Remember what a hassle that was, getting that taken care of, and we just get the number they give us and don't think anything of it. And after we'd been in the house for, I don't know, maybe a month or two, not long, I start getting, remember the old answering machines with a little cassette player on it? I start getting, while I'm at work, I'm getting calls for a local deli and little stuff. And I would ignore it. And after it happened maybe 3 times, I call them up and I say, hey, well, I'm getting these calls. Why am I getting calls? Oh yeah, that used to be our number. And so you're probably just getting them from people who are old customers. And it just kept going on. And I would call them and say, I'm still getting calls. And these people want their food. You want the business. I'm trying to be nice about it because it wasn't like it was ringing off the hook, but it was happening at this point, then probably once a week or something. And I go over there, finally go to the deli, and it's on their damn sign out on over their building is my phone number on their damn sign. And I'm like, look, I'm getting a lot of these calls. Yeah, it's on the sign. It's on a bunch of our printed stuff. We're just sorry. At this point, it's just out there and we're not going to fix it. Like, oh, all right, that's how it's going to be. I grab one of their menus on the way out. And like 6 months later, I get a call leaving from General Motors, from somebody at General Motors, leaving what I think I did the math. It was going to be like a $1,500 to $2,000 order. They wanted catering for a big event they were having. And I called them back.
No.
I
you
called
took
them back.
the order.
I took that order. I called that number back, and I'm looking at the menu and I'm like, so on that platter, I can't remember what it was called. On this platter, do you want it all ham and turkey? Do you want to mix in some pastrami? Like I went deep into this deli order, asking them all the options. And they wanted like 6 trays of that and all these brownies and just everything you could think to cater a lunch for, I don't remember what it was, a couple hundred people. And,
I can see how there's some collateral damage about to happen now.
Ooh,
no,
yikes.
nothing happened. I mean,
I know. Over on this.
What's that?
I said, is the statute of limitations over on this? Is there a chance someone finds you and goes, that was me, dude?
This probably happened. I bet you this happened in 1995. Spring of 95 is when this happened.
So that guy's dead.
Yeah. But that guy did not, whoever was in charge of planning that party, they got a serious talking to. And if they're just leaving that order on voicemail and not making sure it happened, they already had 3 bad performance reviews prior to that. So this had to have been the last straw.
You taught them a lesson, Doug.
Yeah.
And the deli a lesson.
That's
they
why
missed
I feel
out on the
good
big
about
thing.
it. I did a service in mentoring.
Paula, you said you've never done this. You've never had one of those.
No. I remember seeing Bart Simpson make those calls to Mo Sizlak. I that's like a cherished childhood memory. But no, never did it myself.
That's Jesse's real name, Mo Sizlak, isn't it?
That's when they're not calling me false dichotomy, they call me Mo Sizlak.
You must have had one of these, Jesse. No?
So I've had the one that comes to mind was my wife was getting one of those calls from someone pretending to be Microsoft, asking her for like their password.
Yeah.
And it's someone with an overseas accent, and it's a total scam.
Yeah.
So have you ever seen these things online? I basically copied what some YouTube channels do, which you act really dumb.
Just started reeling them in.
So dumb. And you reel them in and say, okay, so would it help if I gave you my social security number? Yep. Sure thing. Let me go get it. And they ask for things, and then you're like, okay, sure. Where do I wire the money to? Oh, I typed it in wrong. Sorry. And they kind of get upset. And eventually the guy lost his temper and hung up on me. But I probably wasted like 15 minutes of his time. Didn't waste any of my time though.
Right. I was going to say, yeah, that was time well spent for you.
No, it's joy. What gives you more joy? Hanging up
Exactly.
Well,
Exactly.
You did a service by allowing them to not be able to attack another vulnerable
elderly
citizen.
person.
Totally. Yeah. I've got another funny one actually. It's a little bit different though, it has to do with kind of what we talk about here. Like 3 months ago, my wife got an email from Edward Jones, basically being like, your account is shut down. It's locked. You got to call us and unlock it.
Oh, from air quotes, Edward Jones.
Well, that's the thing. I get a text midday and she's like, hey, for some reason, my Edward Jones, like I can't log in.
Jones account is closed.
Right. She's like, Jesse, what's our Edward Jones account information? So I immediately call her. I'm like, we don't have any Edward Jones account. And she immediately, can I swear on this after show?
We will beep it out. She's
just like, fuck. I told him everything. I'm like, oh my God. But here's where the twist is. Her maiden name is Burns, Kelly Burns. Very generic name.
And what was the social security number again for Kelly Burns?
Exactly.
What would you say the last 4 of your Amex?
Her email account is a very generic variation of her name. Some random lady named Kelly Burns in rural Illinois incorrectly filled out her Edward Jones application and put my wife's email instead of her own email. And so my wife got the notification that like she's locked out of her account. And long story short, I ended up calling this random Edward Jones office in Illinois being like, hey, I'm calling from Rochester. Did you happen to have a client named Kelly Burns sign up at your office within the last week? And they're like, yeah, why? And so anyway, it
wasn't a scam. Money.
It was a real email.
Okay.
But
there was a bigger fish they were going for.
Jesse,
You missed the opportunity
I
to
know.
teach her a lesson.
I know. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Kelly Burns. I'm here for my withdrawal.
As they've moved on from calling to texting, now I get these texts that say, "Hey, how are you?
Yeah.
Hey, what are you doing?" And
Oh, yeah.
so at first I would block and delete. Maybe 50 times I did that. About 2 weeks ago, I started going, "Where are you?" They go, and the person writes back and they're like, "This is Andrea." I know it's Andrea. Where are you? We got to bury the body.
Yeah.
And they're like, "No, I think you have the right." And now they're trying to convince me that they're not the person that has anything to do with this. I'm like, "You got to get over here. You were bringing the shovel. What time are you getting here?"
There's a whole subreddit for that now, Joe.
Is there really?
Yeah, there, and it's all text messages because you can take screenshots and post it, and people will you're like swiping into like 8 and 10 screen images of this whole conversation, and it's hilarious to see how long the scammers will stick with it while the person's messing with them.
Well, they must all work together, at least the ones that were trying to scam me, because those have dried up in the past week and a half. I played that game 3 times, and now they're, and actually one person finally went, "Have a good day, sir," at the end. Like, "You know who I am and I know who you are.
Yeah.
Have a good day."
Right. Give you a little hat tip.
Yeah.
Like the batter who strikes out on the good pitch. Going back to baseball. Jesse, your story reminded me, I'd forgotten about this. When we first got high-speed internet with Xfinity, I grabbed all of the emails for everybody in my nuclear family. So I got like 5 different, one generic one for the whole family, and then 4 others for each of us. And it was just my first initial and last name. No, it's not neighbor. And and some woman in Rhode Island, Delaware. I mean, that's the same state, right? She was using my first initial last name at Comcast.net with Victoria's Secret. Yeah.
I love this cover-up story. She was using my name.
And I could just tell by getting all the confirmation emails of all of her orders, she wasn't what you would say would be the classic model in the Victoria's Secret catalog.
Again, I love the cover-up story because you are not the classic model.
There was a lot of double XLs ordered.
Which would probably be your size if you were to order.
Yeah. If you say it on the podcast. And by the way, Andrea's hanging out with us. When I said Andrea's got to help me bury the body, and she said, "I'm in." So Andrea and I got to go bury the body. So we'll see everybody next time.
Bye.
That was fun. Andrea, you made the finish of the show. All right. Let me say goodbye. We'll see everybody who's with us live next time. That was fun. Thanks for hanging out.